Breaking news. Wagner of Russia claims Bakhmut Kyiv has said the situation is critical. After the longest and bloodiest battle of the war, Russia's Wagner private army claimed on Saturday to have captured the eastern Ukrainian city of Bakhmut, while Kyiv denied the city had fallen and called the situation there critical. If Wagner leader Yevgeny Prigozhin's claim that his troops have driven the Ukrainians out of the last built-up area inside the city is verified, Moscow will have claimed its first major prize in over 10 months. However, it appears that Russia's victory will be short-lived. Prigozhin made the declaration after a week in which Ukrainian forces made their fastest gains in 6 months on Bakhmut's northern and southern flanks, putting Prigozhin's troops inside the city in danger of being encircled. Prigozhin, who had previously criticized the regular Russian military for abandoning territory captured by his men, announced that his own forces would withdraw from Bakhmut in 5 days to rest, handing over the city's ruins to the regular military. Prigozhin, dressed in combat fatigues and standing in front of a row of soldiers carrying Russian flags and Wagner banners, declared in a video that Bakhmut had been completely taken at noon on this day. In their own words, "We completely took the whole city, from house to house." Serhiy Cherevatyi, a spokesman for the Ukrainian military, told Reuters, "That is not true. We have troops engaged in combat in Bakhmut." Hanna Maliar, Ukraine's deputy defense minister, said that heavy fighting had broken out in Bakhmut. "The situation is extremely serious," she wrote on Telegram. According to our spokesman, as of right now, our defenders control some industrial and infrastructure facilities in the area and the private sector. Whether or not the Ukrainian forces have evacuated Bakhmut, they have been steadily retreating to enclaves on the western edge of the city. Meanwhile, to the north and south, they've made the most rapid gains they've had in 6 months, taking large chunks of territory back from Russian forces. Russia has admitted losing ground around Bakhmut in the past week, but they have denied Prigozhin's claims that the flanks guarding the city have collapsed. According to Kiev, the city of Bakhmut has been a focal point of its offensive in an effort to weaken Moscow's defensive line in other areas of the front in preparation for a major counteroffensive. This week, Ukraine's ground force commander Oleksandr Syrsky told his troops, "Wagner troops climbed into Bakhmut like rats into a mousetrap." On Saturday, British Defense Intelligence reported that despite troop shortages elsewhere, Moscow appeared to be recommitting to the battle around Bakhmut. It said on Twitter that it was likely Russia had sent several battalions of its limited reserves to reinforce the Bakhmut sector. Wagner, a mercenary force that has enlisted thousands of inmates from Russian prisons, and the regular Russian military have grown further apart as the battle for Bakhmut has progressed. Prigozhin has been criticizing the military leadership in Russia in a series of daily audio and video messages for the past 2 weeks. He blamed 5 times more guys died than they should have on the whims of Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu and Chief of Staff Valery Gerasimov, claiming this in a video posted on Saturday. "That he gave us this chance and great honor to defend our motherland," he said to President Vladimir Putin. Moscow has long maintained that seizing Bakhmut would pave the way for further expansion into the Donbas region, which it claims to have annexed from Ukraine. This has made it the primary objective of a massive winter and spring offensive, which has so far been unable to gain any appreciable ground elsewhere. Bakhmut, a city of 70,000 people before the war, has little strategic significance, but Prigozhin has admitted this, despite its huge symbolic importance due to the scale of losses in Europe's bloodiest ground battle since World War II. After 6 months of holding its forces back on the defensive while weathering Russia's big offensive, Kyiv is preparing for the next major phase of the war, a counteroffensive. As a result of President Volodymyr Zelensky's attendance at Saturday's G7 summit of major industrial powers in Japan, Washington has signaled that it will now support the training of Ukrainian pilots to fly F-16 warplanes, among other pledges of support. Combat aircraft deployment was previously off-limits. Zelensky, who had not left Ukraine since the invasion until last December, showed a newfound confidence in making international travel plans in order to make his case in person at the summit. After visiting Rome, Berlin, Paris, and London a week prior, he stopped in Saudi Arabia for an Arab summit en route to Japan. Compared to Putin, who has only left the former Soviet Union once, for a day trip to Tehran in July, since ordering the invasion, this was a striking difference. Before being expelled after a previous, less massive invasion of Ukraine in 2014, Putin had a standing invitation to G7 summits, making it the G8. This week, China hosted a summit of former Soviet Central Asian states, and his absence was widely noted because he is now wanted by the International Criminal Court in The Hague for suspected war crimes.